everybody, Gina DeLuca here. Alright, so today, it may look a whole lot like the last video for this particular part, but I am using FLOETROL instead of mixed pouring medium. I wanted to see what the difference in the results are using the same paints with the same consistency and just seeing, you know, what's the difference. So today we're using, for my background slash base coat color, it is a mixture of Liquitex Basics Titanium White, Phthalo Green, and Phthalo Blue. And I will say that it is about 3 parts green to 1 part blue for this particular hue. That blue is very, very strong. This might be a hair darker than the background I had on the last painting, but that's all right. It should, you know, shouldn't affect the sellage. We have, for our cell makers, Decoart Americana Decor Metallics in copper, the matte metallics in sapphire blue, and the regular metallics in emerald green, or just emerald. I apologize for the squealing dog next door. I guess he was naughty and he's out on a porch at the moment, or she wants to be let in, and they aren't. So y'all get to hear what I hear. I assume you can hear that. I waited for a while for them to let her back in, but it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. So happy Mother's Day to those who celebrate Mother's Day, and I hope it's a great one. And for the folks where Mother's Day is not a happy day, big hugs going out to you. It's not a fun day for everyone. So much love and hugs to everyone. These paints have been mixed. 1 part paint to 2 parts FLOETROL. That mixture is then thinned with my concoction of 90% water and 10% FLOETROL until I get the proper consistency, which is, it is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound, but it disappears very quickly. It is making a nice thin stream off of my stick, or my little awesome spatula from FluidArt.co. The Fluid Art Company, these sticks are awesome. They really mix things up very quickly, and they are great for scraping the sides of your cup and get as much out of there as possible, and super easy cleanup. I dig them. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube. And then this is the picture of that particular painting in that video. This box here contains a tip for that particular technique, and down here we have the color palette that was used in that particular painting. There are also 8 bonus color palette cards. Each color palette card has 5 color palettes. Use all of the colors or just some of the colors. And I forgot to mention that these 2 boxes are also meant to be used as a 2 color palette, or you can build off of those, mix and match all of the color palettes with the different techniques, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also on amazon.com. And if you get them from Amazon, please do leave feedback. That really helps a sister out. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is lay down my base coat. This will help the poured paint to slide around more easily and help to maintain the composition of your poured paints. Because sometimes some of the best stuff happens on the edges, and if you want to have negative space so that you can keep your composition, having this base coat down will really help. So using a color for your base coat that you would be happy with it being the background color. If you wound up going with negative space is important, but I also use a color that works, because if bubbles pop up through your pour from your base coat, you want it to work within the painting. So, you know, there's no white in this painting, and if I used a white background, or a base coat color, I should say, if I used a white base coat and those little tiny white cells popped up in my painting, that would bum me out because it doesn't belong there. But if little tiny cells popped up in this color, it would blend in with the painting and it would not trigger my OCD. All right, my base coat is down. I'm going to put some paint in a cup. So yes, I do have extra of this paint because I'm going to be doing layers in between. So I wanted to make sure I had enough. And also that's how I did it last time. So I need to do it this time. Interesting. The copper is reacting the same way it did last time. It didn't sink, it's sitting on top. Now, is that because this cup is kind of wide as opposed to deep, and when it's pouring, it's not having a chance to really dive in there? Or is it just the way that this particular paint, or this particular combination of paints are reacting with each other? Interesting. Okay, now for the blue. Oh, I really do wish they would let that dog in. Okay, and now for the green. Always be sure to check the consistencies of your paint before you, oh, it's supposed to be pouring from up high, silly me, before you put them in the cup, because the sauce may thicken upon standing. So pouring from up high allows gravity and velocity to do what it does, and it helps it to really sink in there, which is typically how you wind up getting the boulder cells. We'll see if that happens. And I'm just going to cover up the top with this paint. So if my cell makers are sitting on top, then they don't have anything to react with, and they're going to hit the canvas and just be, you know, pretty metallic colors like sitting on the edges and not doing the boulder cell action, which is what I am going for, basically. So putting this color on top, so what's going on here? Let's just start with that. This is a hydrophobic effect. This is not the Really Taylor instability at work when it comes to what is causing these cells. The Decoart paints are more matte. We need to pop these bubbles, lots of bubbles here. So the Decoart paints are more matte than these particular Liquitex Basics paints. And matte paints mixed with glossier paints is going to give you cells. The matte paints will sell. The matte paints will push away, fix this corner a bit here. Actually, just give this a quick touch up, because as it sits, it can get a bit of a skin on it, and we don't want that, especially on these bigger canvases. This is a 20 by 20 gallery racked canvas. Just want to make sure this is a nice, fresh layer to slide around upon. Sometimes you can see it on the edge, you know, the corners will start looking a bit thin. And then just go in there and freshen it up. Give it another swipe. So where was I? Hydrophobic effect. Yes. So matte paints, when put next to a glossier paint, there is some kind of hydrophobic effect where it is pushing away the glossier paints. And that is what is giving those cells, as opposed to, you can see that starting to cell up in the cup again. Let's make a mess, shall we? So as opposed to the Really Taylor instability, which is based on paint densities. So the heavier paints will sink, and then the lighter paints will be the cells. I'm gonna do just a little bit of ring action there. Again, straight bore. A little bit of ring action. It's a little bit harder to talk when I get towards the end of the cup because I need to concentrate. The center is what is going to be stretched the most. So you want to pay attention and make sure that it looks nice, because it's going to be a focal point. So I get slower and closer. As I get to the end. Okay. If your center is not perfect, no worries. Just take a little skewer and give yourself a little swirl in there to make it fit. All right, lots of bubbles. Let's pop the bubbles. Right, so the Rayleigh Taylor instability, back to that. If you are doing, say, titanium white and black, you would think that black would be heavier than white, but it indeed is not. Titanium white, unless something has changed, titanium white is the heaviest of the pigments, which is why I often use it for my background colors. So the background color is the first color that goes in my straight pour cup, because that is the color that's going to become the background and the other colors will sell. What I put down first on the canvas, that is a base coat. Base coat on the canvas, background in the cup. So yeah, get my terminology straight. I make up my own. So there are going to be bubbles that are just going to keep popping up, and just keep popping those bubbles. I know it is very difficult that you want to tilt right away and see what beautiful gift your painting has in store for you. It's like Christmas morning, but being patient will make your present even prettier. Because what's going to happen, there are bubbles in the underlying layers. And as those bubbles come up and pop, it brings some paint with it. And as that happens, because it's a hydrophobic paint, it will grow, it will get bigger. And then those are typically the ones that become boulder cells. I would normally be expecting to see more cell action than this. So perhaps this particular combination, this is just how it rolls. That happens quite often. You know, some combinations just, you know, don't have that same magical boulder cell creating effect. Sometimes this copper will make these crazy jellyfish flower-like cells. But it depends on what paint it's being used with. That's why I can't get enough of straight pours, because you don't know how will this paint react with this paint. I haven't done that combination before. Magic might happen. That's why I can't get enough of them. I know there's like a million techniques out there. I mean, there's 42 of them in my Fluid Art Inspiration card set. But I am just fascinated with the straight pour. And interestingly enough, the effect that I was getting when I was using mix, I'm actually getting that now, where it's kind of gotten fuzzy. Very interesting indeed. This was a new jar of copper, and I'm wondering if maybe it has something to do with that. Because it's not really selling, and this is usually a pretty good cell maker for me. All right, I think it's time. I think it's time to get tilting. As the Massey boys say, it's tilting time. What time is it? 2:41. Okay. I think I'm going to come this way first, because I have plenty of copper there that I can tilt off without feeling guilty. So it is very important to tilt slowly. If you go too quickly, the center of your puddle will roll over the edges of your puddle. So one of the reasons that we lay down a base coat is to prevent that from happening, because that will absolutely happen no matter what speed you're tilting. If you don't have some kind of base coat on your canvas, because something has to stick to the canvas first. So it's going to be the paint that's on the edge, and then the other paints are going to roll over top of that. Okay, I'm going to hit this opposing corner. Always being mindful of where the weight of your paint is will really, really help you control your composition. You can get pretty darn precise with your tilting. Bringing the paint back to center, the weight of the paint back to center before I change directions, and you can tell where the weight of the paint is by where it's moving fastest. And if you are aware of that, you can almost make corners as you're tilting. Get pretty darn precise. Moving too quickly. Slow it down, mama. The more patient I am, the more I will maintain the integrity of this composition. If I get impatient and I tilt too quickly, my lines will start to get wonky. And I don't want that. Okay. Again, bringing the weight of the paint back to center. Ever so patiently. I know it feels like it's never going to get there. It will get there. It really will. Just being patient is very, very important so that the top of your painting, when you're, or for here, the opposite side of your painting doesn't get wonky. Hate to lose that green, but it is what it is. All right, I'm just trying to get the center where I want it. I don't typically like my focal point to be exactly in the center unless the whole thing is symmetrical. I like for it to be just a bit off center. Okay. I am going to let this sit for a bit and see what happens, see what it does. If more cells pop up, and I will bring you in for a close-up. Back in a few. Okay, here it is. Not too terribly different than the results that I got with Mix. You can see that the copper has kind of broken up a bit and gotten very soft. I'm just wondering, is it this new jar of copper? Typically there's like a bit of an oily substance on the top when you first open it, and there was not as much of that. And I wonder if it's that substance that causes these awesome cells to happen. But I got more green in this one than in the previous. Bit more pop-up cells. And then in regards to boulder cells, it kind of seems like, you know, I put some of the base color in between each of those cell makers, and then I didn't get my boulder cells. So I think that they kind of have to be, the cell makers have to be right next to each other, blending into each other. Like I got some of that blending there, but I feel like that blending is what creates those boulder cells. And if you do layers of your background color in between each, you know, you get more of this interesting lacing action, a little more lines, but you don't get that awesome 3D boulder action. So if you want more negative space, then I guess use less of the cell maker and more of the background color to maintain your boulder cell action. But there it is. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Please do like, share, and subscribe and all of that good stuff. That really helps my channel out, and it is very, very appreciated. Do check out the description box below for links to my affiliate links. If you are purchasing from Decoart, you want to try out these amazing paints, click on that affiliate link. There's also other links to Arteza and Blick and Amazon. And if you click on those links, anything that you purchase through those sites, I will receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. And that is tremendously helpful to me. Also, you will find the link to, what else is there? My website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and fluid art inspiration cards for sale. And of course, the cards are also available at Amazon. And last but certainly not least, you will find the link to our Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces. Ask your questions. Get some inspiration. A good time is had by most. It is the internet after all. Okay. Well, I guess that is it for me for today. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now, go make some art.